This is the Metal Roofing Learning Channel, brought to you by Western States Metal Roofing, where you can find a variety of colors and finishes, all while saving by buying factory direct.
So today I have back with us Stacee Lynn with the Barndominium company. So Stacee, tell us a little bit about your company, and then let's talk about colors and finishes for Barndominiums today.
Okay, well, we are the Barndominium company. A lot of folks on social media know us as formerly our Barndominium Life, and now everything across the board for us is the Barndominium company. We're out of Texas, but we design Barndominiums all across the U.S. We design not only still frame Barndominiums, but we also design post frame Barndominiums. So we're super excited about getting into that space. Anything Barndominium, that's what we're all about here.
Perfect. So when your customers are designing the Barndominium, is there ever a conversation about which paint finish is best?
Actually, let me say something. We talk about colors a lot with our clients because they're really trying to decide, once they've got their design, what is that look that they're trying to achieve on their property. A lot of our clients in particular who have a wooded setting, they like the idea of that black barndo that kind of blends in with nature and that sort of thing. And then when we have those conversations, I say, there are so many different types of black that are out there.
Oh yeah, just ourselves, I think we have 6 different blacks. And just to kind of give you an idea of the difference, so if we look, this one here is really more of a typical matte black, and you can see how dark it is. And then,
yes.
And then over here we have what you call a matte midnight black, and it's significantly lighter. And then you take it even further, and you have, this is my favorite black. It's called matte zinc black, and this black is really nice because it's kind of a gray and black mixed in, and it's got this texture that just looks fantastic on a roof. So, I mean, those there alone are just 3 examples of a black, and you can see the difference between them.
Yeah, I'll also say that, there's a huge movement for folks who are looking really for a modern barndo look. And that panel is probably one of my favorites that you guys offer. And you could do this in standing seam or whatever, the different corrugated or the different panels on this, but you could do this in any panel, right?
Oh yeah. In any panel, whether it's a standing seam or a corrugated or an R panel, those are really probably your 3 most popular panels for a roof.
Yes.
And then in a wall application, what you see is, really you see 3 panels that are very popular in a wall. You have a wavy corrugated, such as this one. This just happens to be a very fancy finish.
Oh, that's a good looking panel.
Yeah, that might look nice in a ranch situation or a desert situation.
Yes.
We'll come back to the finish here in a minute, but mainly the 3 panels you'll see in a wall is a wavy corrugated like this, an R panel, or a what they call a 7.2 panel. Those are your least expensive wall panels, exposed fastener, which is the main takeaway. And then you have another product called a concealed fastener product that'll cost about 50% more. And that's going to have a smoother finish with that exposed screw head. Here's an example of one right here. This is what we call a Western reveal. And you can't see the screws. And the other thing about this panel here is where they lap, there's almost no gap, but we can change that where you can either have no gap, 1 inch, 2 inch, or 3 inch gap, and then you can mix and match them, which can look really nice in a wall application.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that panel that's behind you. I think the concealed fasteners are the way to go. I love that. You don't have the problems that you potentially could have down the road with the fasteners coming, loosening up a little bit.
There's one other concealed fastener panel that's become very popular lately. It's called a wave panel, such as this, and that gets you gives you a little bit more texture versus the flat appearance behind me.
How many blacks do you guys offer? You said you have 6?
Yeah, sure. So we have 6 different blacks, and here I'll show you a couple interesting ones. Here's an example of a black one in a specialty paint finish. This is called Streak Black and Rust, and you'll probably notice here, because we have a corrugated, we have a high and a low to work with. So what we've done here is we've tried to mimic the look of like a blackened steel, I think, for example. And you can see that in the low of the panel, it's got a different texture than in the high of the panel. You know, this has kind of got that faded black galvanized look, and then this has just got kind of a dull matte black. And when you blend the high and the low looking differently, it just looks amazing.
Oh, that's a good looking finish.
Yeah, a corrugated panel is really the only kind of panel you can do that with. Now we can still do a specialty paint finish in the standing seam. It's just not going to give you the ability to have something different in the low versus a high. So here's another example of a corrugated especially you're doing a lot of barndos in Texas and in ranch situations. A lot of those, and in desert situations especially, they want the rusted look. And with the rusted look, you have two options. You can use a product that shows up unrusted and will rust for real, such as a Corten or a cold rolled steel. That's going to give you a real rusted look, which looks beautiful, but it's problematic in three ways. Rust equals rust stains. So if you had white concrete and then a rusted roof, you'd end up with red rust stains on your concrete. Also, something that's going to be a real rusted product is going to show up unrusted, and you'll have to wait for it to weather, which isn't a problem. It just takes time. It'll weather on its own. And the third thing with the real rusted product is there's no warranty. Now, if you want that look, but you don't want those three problems, the option is to go with one of these specialty paint prints. And this one here is called Streaked Rust, and you can see it really looks like a real rusted product.
It looks like real rust. Yes.
Yeah, and that's because we can make the high of the panel more of a brown orange rust, and then the low is, typical orange. And when you blend it, it just looks real, especially from ground to roof, or if you stand at a distance from the wall.
Oh yeah, and if you didn't want to do your whole barndo that way, some good accent would look really good.
Great for an accent. And here, so we're talking about this. We got just a couple more that are probably worth looking at very quickly. This one here is kind of along the same thing, but this is more of a galvanized product that's rusted over the years. And this is one of my favorites. This one could come in really handy. This is called Streaked Copper, and this is kind of your old school green looking copper. And the nice thing about this is, copper is so expensive. Copper is probably somewhere between 4 to 5 times the price of metal. And if you're living along the coast, it's a necessity versus metal or possibly aluminum. But if you're not along the coast, the reason you're using copper is you want the look of copper generally. So these products allow you to get the look of copper at the price of metal. So it's a great opportunity as long as you're not along the coast to get that look at a much cheaper price.
Let's go back to the board that we were talking about with the fasteners, the concealed fasteners.
Yeah, back here, yes.
I just want to go back there really quick because the concealed fasteners, we don't see a lot of that in the barndo world. And I think that I've got a lot of folks that would be super interested in those kinds of products. Can you just go talk a little bit more about the concealed fasteners and how much you thought it would be a difference from, say, an R panel on the sidewall?
A concealed fastener panel is probably going to cost you about 50% more than an R panel, just as a ballpark. With this type of panel, it's most common to a solid wood substrate. If you're going to span it from support to support, you're better off with an exposed fastener panel because of the rigidity, or possibly what they call a wave panel, which we talked about earlier, because you want something more rigid. So maybe that's why you're not seeing as many of these concealed fastener panels, is because you don't have a lot of wood substrates that they're attaching to.
Well, I'm going to have to find a project and talk to a client because I love that product.
Yeah,
I just love that product. It's good looking.
Yeah, we actually have this product where we can mimic the look of wood also, and it looks spot on.
Yeah, you want the wood look, but you don't want the wood you don't want the wood maintenance.
That's right. And really, when you look at the cost of like a distressed wood versus the cost of a metal that looks like wood, I would say the metal is actually probably cheaper than a real distressed wood. And when you compare it with like a real walnut wood versus a metal wood, it's probably a very similar price point, but definitely cheaper on that distressed wood.
And it looks so good.
Yeah, the prints we use nowadays, what we do is we actually take 4 different panels and you mix and match them. It doesn't matter what order, but what that does is it keeps it from looking repetitive, and you really, a lot of these finishes look so good, you can't tell that they're not real wood.
Yeah, and you could actually end up doing a combination wood finish look, metal, with that concealed fastener with that black there. I see how that can be really a good looking mix together.
So here's an example.
Oh, wow.
So here's an example of a metal product that's designed to look like distressed wood. And you can actually, if you look really closely, you can actually see there's these two dark lines here. And what we do is we would actually cut, when we make the panel, we would actually cut it down where we're making panels that are slightly different. And when you get them on the job site, you're going to mix and match these, and it eliminates the repetitiveness, and it's one of the reasons why this looks so real.
That's good. That's a good looking panel.
When you're designing your jobs, are you building 3D models, and would it help you to have a 3D texture that you could drop into that model?
Oh, absolutely. We do a lot of 3D modeling. I think one of the things that we're best known for, especially on our social media channels, is our 3D modeling. We do it in stills, the 3D color clients. A lot of times our clients are saying, okay, Stacee, I'm still torn between an all black barndo or going with the classic white with the black roof. In some cases, we still have clients that are saying, I'm going to go with the classic white with a galvalume roof. Or a charcoal gray roof or something like that. But the bronzes are also really super popular these days.
Yeah, dark bronze, especially dark bronze. Yeah, dark bronze I think is just a step down from a black, right? I think it's kind of like a black and a brown combined, but side by side, to me, it looks like a softer black.
A softer black, yeah, I agree, yeah. But I'm going to tell you, I like the softer black, but that black panel behind you has to be my favorite right now.
Are you a designer or architect and want to incorporate these panels into your next project? Western States Metal Roofing has made it easy. Simply download our free 3D Smart Textures to create photorealistic images in your 3D design software now.
Want to learn more? Check out these videos.